What is up, everybody? This is Eric, the one and only barrier collector, and today I am glad to say that I am finally getting down to doing one of the projects that I've been wanting to do for such a long time. But before I begin, I wanted to get a couple of things across. First of all, I would like to thank my son Logan from Logan's Toybox review for letting me borrow his Bugs Bunny. And you guys can check him out on his channel. I'll put the link below for his channel. The second thing is I apologize for taking such a long time for doing this particular video. One of the reasons is that I'm covering four to five games, actually 5 games in this one series. I was planning of doing this for the entire month until I did my haul video of January, but I don't know. I might release more videos in the next week, as I normally do. But all in all, because this is gonna be a long video, so for all of you guys who stick around till the end to watch this one, I thank you so much. And then finally, I was actually at the last minute was gonna scrap this project altogether. And the reason was because of a very famous YouTuber out there, the Angry Video Game Nerd. It just so happened that about it should be his very latest Angry Video Game Nerd episode, which is the one about Garfield. He did this one about a couple of weeks as of the making of this video, about maybe 2-3 weeks ago. And when I saw the video, I'm a fan of his channel. I watch his channel quite often. And when I saw the video about Garfield, I was like, oh, cool, But little did I think about it when he did it. He brought out the topic that I was gonna talk about in this video today. But I decided to do it because I could just go ahead and maybe use this. You guys can use this as a companion video to his, not to be piggybacking or anything from his videos whatsoever. But I was going to release this many months ago and I kept lagging about it, So in a way, it's my fault for not bringing it out anytime later. But the topic that I'm about to talk to you guys about is the Crazy Castle series, the Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle series, part 1, part 2, part 1 for Game Boy, part 3, and of course, part 4 of the game, and that one I have the manual, so part 4. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this one, let me put the camera down here so we can not focus on the feet, but focus on the games here. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this this game series in particular is because if you guys know about the history of this game series, it spans the way that this was actually made to show that this particular game series covers a lot of other game series, a lot of other video games, just like if you saw the Angry Video Game Nerd episode, it basically you're going to be jumping into a rabbit hole, and I do mean the pun, because there's a lot of history behind this game series right here. There's a part 5, Crazy Castle 5. That one starts Woody Woodpecker though, so they switched the character. So 1, I don't have the game, and 2, I feel like I didn't want to really include it because I didn't feel like it involved this particular series in itself, where it is part of the series, but it switches up, from the theme of what these are. So anyways, to get into the game, now that I got everything across, the Crazy Castle series was a series developed by Kemco. It originally started back in 1989 when Kemco wanted to actually release a Roger Rabbit video game for the Famicom. They did. However, they wanted to port it to the US, but unfortunately around that time, we got this other one over here. We unfortunately, well, unfortunately, but we got this guy right here, Roger Rabbit, for the NES, the LJN, the infamous LJN. So we got this one instead. And so Kemco did not have the rights to the character of Roger Rabbit. So then they acquired the rights to the Looney Tune characters, hence Bugs Bunny. So Bugs Bunny became the theme of the game that they ported their Roger Rabbit video game in Japan. They ported it to North America as Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle. Basically, to sum it up all in a nutshell, for the most part, the stories involve Bugs Bunny discovering either a map or a legend of a treasure or anything that states that in a castle lies a big treasure. He thinks that they're carrots, but in all due reality, he's rescuing his love interest. So I'll go ahead and sum it up. I have a sheet here because this is interesting, which talks about the characters that come out in the series, the enemy list. If you guys want to go ahead and zoom in, I'll let you see that for a second. I'll go over it. And then right here. So in Crazy Castle 1, he has to rescue Honey Bunny, and also in part 2. But then in part 3, for some reason, it was Honey Bunny's replaced by Lola Bunny, and also in part 4 as well. The enemy list is very interesting. Throughout the whole series, we get Sylvester the Cat, Daffy Duck, Wile E. Coyote, Yosemite Sam, the Little Ghost, Moth and Flame, Foghorn Leghorn, Tasmanian Devil, Beaky Buzzard, Mark Anthony, Merlin the Magic Mouse, Tweety, Witch Hazel, which Witch Hazel is actually one of the bosses, Elmer Fudd, Pepe Le Pew, Rocky, Elvis the Ape, Fox Pop, Gossamer, and Opat the Leprechaun. In some of you also get the Tasmanian Devil is also the final boss for part 3 and 4. If you look at the check marks, those are the where the enemies come out. So Sylvester comes out in every single game except part 4. Daffy Duck comes out in every single one. Wile E. Coyote and Yosemite Sam do as well. And Elmer Fudd, I thought Elmer Fudd was coming out in that one as well. But you can see the chart. I put it right here. He comes out in 3 and 4, actually. So most of the enemies, are recurring enemies. Those are the most recurring ones. Foghorn Leghorn makes an appearance in 2, 3, and 4. And so does the Tasmanian Devil. And so does, of course, Mark Anthony. They appear. So this is kind of like a list for you guys to see how the enemies come out. For the most part, all those enemies come out there. One of the things, like I was saying, in the whole series, the recurring thing as far as the whole quest of looking for carrots and all of that, the gameplay mechanics are almost identical, if not the same. In each level, you have to collect 8 keys in order to open up the exit and go to the next level. However, each game in the series, it changes a little bit, not by much. Aside from graphical changes, they also do a couple of more things. For example, in part one, you just pretty much get the keys. In all of them, you have to enter these doors to find the keys. But then it changes a little bit more. They make it more in part 2 where you get the keys and there's weapons that are hidden inside. Whereas in part 1, they're like in plain sight. Believe it or not, Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle, the Game Boy and the NES version are almost identical. The Game Boy version has like less levels, whereas the Bugs Bunny one has a little bit more. But they're almost identical. Music, everything's the same. And then Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle 2 has a bit more levels. And in each of them, you'll see a map where you're going with a password screen, with a password that you can save, and it goes, on and on. Part 3, they changed it a little bit more. They made the levels a little bit more scrolling towards to the, horizontal or vertical. They made them a little bit longer. Made the game a bit longer. In part 4, it became insanely longer. And not only that, either in 3 or 4, they introduced chests where you can either choose an item. Either you'll get an item or you'll get the key. And then they'll also introduce trap chests that actually take away your health. So, but all in all, the games are all, the gameplay mechanics are the same. Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle. Now that one was developed in 1989. The Game Boy version was developed in 1990. Part 2, 1991. Part 3 in 1999. And then Part 4 in 2000. So there was like a big gap between those. Yeah, but where the games become very interesting is the like I said, the amount of games that this series created. So like I mentioned earlier, Crazy Castle for the NES, the Famicom version is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The game levels are the same as in the Famicom. The only difference is that in the Famicom, you play as Roger Rabbit, whereas here you play as Bugs Bunny. Then the Game Boy version was developed. But in Japan, it created a different series. It created the Mickey Mouse series. As you can see in this, the rabbit hole, the map of everything that's created. And this spanned another series, and I'm about to show it right now. So I'll go ahead and show that one right here. That's the Hugo series. So yeah, so you guys can take a look. You can pause it, take a look. So basically, from Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle on the Game Boy created the Mickey Mouse series in Japan. And then they also, Mickey Mouse Crazy Castle 2 also came as Mickey Mouse 2. And then Mickey Mouse 2 branched off to the Hugo series. We'll take a look at this really quick because the Hugo series was a series of games that came out and it spanned its own individual series on there, you know, right there. And then Hugo, so it goes even to the Wii. So as far as it goes. And then going back to this one, Mickey Mouse spanned its own series. Right here, Crazy Castle 3. They did more Mickey Mouse games right here. But then it turned into, the Mickey Mouse 3 was developed for the Famicom. But in the US, they released it as Kid Clown and Nightmare World. Now, Kid Clown and Kid Clown and Nightmare World in itself is its own series. And of course, that's a very expensive game to own. And it developed Kid Clown and Crazy Chase for the Super Nintendo and the Bombing Islands. And then they made the Bombing Islands for the N64 as Charlie Blast Challenge. Bombing Islands being this game right here for the PlayStation. I really I don't really like this one. But I can't say anything about the other games in Nightmare World and Kid Clown because I never played these. Now, here is where the things get interesting. I'll take a look at that in a minute. From Crazy Castle 2 became Crazy Castle 3. And Crazy Castle 3 developed Kid Go-Go Kid or something. I can't say it, sorry. UK. Or Kid Go-Go Kid. It made they spawned its own game. And then, of course, it went to Crazy Castle 4 and Woody Woodpecker's Crazy Castle 5. Now, going back to the Mickey Mouse games, you know, Mickey Mouse 3, which would have been its own game, you know, that made Kid Clown, came to Mickey Mouse 4, which created the Garfield Labyrinth, which is the game that Angry Video Game Nerd was talking about, which also created the real Ghostbusters in the US. I remember having that game before. And it's basically it's very similar to Solomon's Key. If you guys ever played that on the NES. And of course, Mickey Mouse spanned to Mickey Mouse 5. And then Mickey Mouse Magic Wand came out in the US, Part 5, as its own game. So yes, this whole series made all of this, all of these games. Which is why I wanted to talk to you guys about that. All in all, the way that I feel, these games are all great. Do I have a favorite? I'll tell you this much. The longest game in the series is Part 4. This one has about 12 lands or 12 areas, and each area is sub-made with X amount of levels. So this one is super long. This one is a little bit shorter than the rest. This is the next longest game, but it's a little bit shorter. Part 2 is shorter, but longer than part 1 on the Game Boy. And then part 1 is a little bit longer than the Game Boy. So these two in level-wise are almost the same. All in all, I'll say my most nostalgic games are these. I didn't play these until recently before making the video, but these right here are the ones that are my favorite, especially the original one. The music is just so nostalgic for me. I remember taking this game to Mexico and playing it a lot. Same thing with that one. So all these games are very memorable. There were games that were in my collection for a long time, for many years before I let go of them and I picked them up again. These were games that I always carried with me on my Game Boy, but very fun games. Part 3, I gotta say that I enjoyed part 3 better than 4. I felt that part 4 just dragged on too long and it was repetitive. Overall, the games tend to be repetitive as far as how they are. But part 4, is this 3 or 4? Sorry, this is part 4. I'm putting in the wrong game. Part 4 tend to be more repetitive because of the fact that it was just super long. And not only that, this is probably the most difficult one in the series. I actually thought that part 1 was the easier ones, and then part 3, and then part 2. Part 2 was a little bit harder. You'll see in the videos. That one tended to be a little bit tougher. But all in all, a very fun series that you guys should check out. I should check out the Kid Clown games. I've never played those. I did play the Garfield one and the Ghostbuster ones. Never played the Mickey Mouse ones. And I'll show you guys the charts again. If you guys want to go ahead and take a picture. There it is. And here's a continuation of it. There it is. So that way you guys can know how the flow goes of the thing. And then also here is the enemy list. Hopefully you guys can see it. That's the enemy list that comes out in the game. And yeah, a very fun series. Highly recommended nonetheless. Very nostalgic, very addictive. Now, Roger Rabbit is a story for another day, because this one in itself, I am planning on making a future video on this one. There's also a Game Boy version of it, and those two games are something to talk about in its own. And Bombing Islands is just a game that I just didn't like. Maybe in the future I'll do a video on it. Didn't really give it much of a... I did give it a shot, but it was something that I didn't enjoy as much. Nonetheless, you know, I will... There's another game that's not part of this series, but I will review soon. And that's Bugs Bunny's Birthday Blowout for the NES. I got to do a little bit more research as to why, you know, it's not part of this, because the gameplay mechanics and everything is very different. But anyways, I'll leave. I rambled long enough. I thank you guys for watching the video. I will put the gameplay of each game on here after this video, and hopefully, you know, you guys enjoy it. This was one of the projects that I wanted to do for such a long time, to talk to you guys about these games. And it's just amazing how a simple series that started for somebody wanting to create a Roger Rabbit game developed into something like this that spanned so many games, so many things. So yes, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much if you guys stuck around for the entire thing. This has been Eric the Bear Collector. I will see you guys in the next one. This was a project I've been wanting to release. Now the last thing to do is to do my my project, not the review, but the one that I wanted to talk to you guys about, the history project that I'm doing, the mini documentary thing that I wanted to do. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. That has been Eric the Bear Collector. Peace out.